Well, hello and welcome to ILoveGay today. And we are going and jumping into the world of small business today in Orlando. And we're here with Michael Wallman. How are you, Michael?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you for inviting me to speak today.
Oh, I have thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you and watching and seeing all your work through. And you're one of those that's more aligned with the channels we're on, which is you're very strong on Twitter and LinkedIn. And so
Yes.
I can't miss you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, putting out the information, only finance man.
Yeah.
You've been extremely supportive with your posting, likes, and reposting of the information that I've been putting out there.
Well, thank you. No, it's very mutual. And I love what you're doing. Onlyfinanceman.com. And so as soon as I saw it, I knew there was some sort of correlation with content creators and OnlyFans and all that. But what's really interesting is that you kind of like you've carved out this niche of kind of a financial planner to the stars, and we'll say it with that sound of lifestyles of the rich and famous in the background in your head. So, but doing this, you've kind of carved out a really nice niche for yourself, and you're pursuing that. How is all that going?
It's going really, really well, and I appreciate again being here. Um, what I've been doing, what you've been seeing and commenting on is basically tax and financial planning
Yeah.
for influencers and content creators and only fan entertainers,
Yeah.
uh, folks that are independent contractors, influencers. They're out there as their own employee.
Yeah.
They pay taxes. They get paid quite well, and so do content creators.
Yeah.
They also get paid well if they have the right content. So these folks need good, sound financial planning. And there's many other reasons why, but to go into the topic, it becomes so dry. So when I do these Twitter posts
Yeah.
at Only Finance Man, you'll see there's tax tip number one or tax tip number two. And it's a short little tax tip, similar to something we just talked about prior to going on the air regarding your attire.
Yeah.
That shirt you are wearing, which you said you will not wear outside, which is, I don't know why you would not want to wear it outside, but for your program,
Yeah.
if that attire is strictly for your program, that is something that your accountant
Yeah.
can work with you as a deduction.
Yeah. No,
It's very interesting.
I love all that. But you've been doing financial planning for I wrote down 25 plus years, but I mean you've been doing this for a very long time.
Yes, I started financial planning in 95. I started doing estate planning for the alternative family. Back in 95, I was working with a community that was overlooked,
Yeah.
underserved. And while I was at Merrill Lynch at the time, I proposed that we talk about doing some kind of estate planning or tax planning, financial planning for a community that primarily two incomes.
Yeah.
Okay, they're doing well, but yet they don't want to reach out for obvious reasons. And at that time, I aligned myself with a gay attorney, a gay accountant, and I got up and we did a program, a seminar talking about how your assets will not go to your partner. You've been with your partner for X number of years. You will not be able to convey unless you work with my attorney or my accountant. And that is how my practice evolved and started.
Yeah. That was a huge deal too. I mean, prior to the world of same-sex marriage, I mean, I know what it was like because I was with my first partner for almost 20 years and we did have the power of attorney and we had all those pieces in place to cover for the fact that we were never truly legally married in the eyes of the law. And it's fascinating how in 2013 everything changed so dramatically. And I know personally I felt that change, but you've been a big part of all that all those years.
The the advocacy work that I've done in the early 90s,
Yeah.
I think in being an ally, if you want to call it that, but since I've been in the community for almost 30 years, I'd like to say I'm a member.
Yeah.
Well, Gold Star, I believe I'm a member. And I do believe that providing the information and giving this information is helping again, a community that was not helped back in the early days. It was all about working with the proper attorney, a proper accountant. 2013, what happened? We can get married, we can get divorced.
Yeah.
I don't need all of these different documents. Now, having just said that, we're in the state of Florida where perhaps we need to keep those documents a little handy.
Yep, exactly. But you're very active when you're talking about being an ally. But I mean, you're not just an ally. You're a board member as well as a member of the MBA, which is the local LGBT chamber there in Orlando, and also you're a big part of the Miami LGBT chamber as well. I think, right?
Uh, in 95, again, going back to the 90s, there was
Yeah.
in Miami a chamber, a gay chamber, and it was actually called the South Beach Business Guild.
Okay.
And it was that name because we were not wanting to be the Miami Gay Chamber. However, shortly thereafter, we became very cohesive as a community, decided to change the name to, in fact, the Miami-Dade Gay Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
Being a ally and a straight member of the community, I was able to, at that time, stand up and affect government locally.
Mm.
Am I going to the Senate? Am I going to the House? No. I'm going to the commission. I'm going to the mayor's office. I'm going before the county.
Yeah.
Here in Miami, when I lived in Miami, I was there to help get the human rights ordinance passed, the first city in the state of Florida. So
Wow.
the advocacy work has started way long ago, carrying that through the chamber. And then here in Orlando, the new chamber name is called the Pride Chamber. So as you mentioned earlier, MBA,
Yeah.
Metropolitan Business Association. It is not, we're the gay chamber. Now, 2022 or 3, changing the name to the Pride Chamber. We're proud, we're pride. I was the first straight member of the board when I moved to Orlando 10 years ago.
Wow.
It was the community has just done marvels.
It's really fascinating listening to you. I could tell how much has changed even recently. Like we always think that, during the Obama years that we were past we were on the upside and things were just getting better and better. We didn't have to work that hard at it anymore. But the point is that back in those 90s and early 2000s, a lot of those chambers all used some sort of code name. South Beach Business Guild in Long Beach, California, it was the Long Beach BCN. Even in Provincetown, they still call it the Business Guild. But it's fascinating that the change of name has really only happened for most of the LGBT chambers just over the last few years.
I have found that because I had looked into that the largest chamber, largest gay chamber is the Golden Gate Chamber. They will not change their name, and nor should they.
Yeah.
But as you said, more and more will be changing as more and more are becoming more involved and more politically uh, astute.
Yeah, it makes a statement just putting it out there instead of having to hide. So, but going back to your business on that side, you've really had a focus over all this time, though, is kind of unique, I would say, really focusing on what you said, sole practitioners, sole proprietors, and entrepreneurs. But you really kind of paid a lot more attention to some of those folks that not all financial planners, I think, are interested in.
That is very true. A lot of the financial planners, such as myself, want to focus on the boomers who have the money.
Yeah.
Uh, the boomers will be leaving the monies, however, to the Gen X and what have you. My practice has always been primarily working with young accumulators,
Yeah.
and it just was a natural fit working within the community. Okay, so working with younger folks going through this growth period uh, is a wonderful thing because you're able to see the infancy of businesses being created by solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, entertainers, and watching a business flourish. That's the very exciting part of my practice.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited and I can't wait to see how all this progresses. In fact, I'll keep pushing and nudging you, and I'll say, especially for all there's so many events that these OnlyFans gay male content creators that they go to, and they're all kind of leather oriented and bears and so forth. So I'm looking forward to the day when we see you pop up a booth and you're out there with them.
You might have jumped it, but one magical weekend, I will be in attendance. I will be hosting a breakfast, and there'll be more news about that to come. But yes, the male community, the male gay community in the content world, uh, while it is a smaller group of folks versus female, the male content creator influencer make more money, okay, in total. There's a longer lifespan, so to speak, of their careers. So there's and also the male content creators or influencers see, because they are typically older, see the value in learning about taxes and financial planning, the topics that are dry but yet need to be addressed.
They're bringing in the big bucks, and they got to figure out. They need somebody to help them tell them what to do with it. And so, but we
True.
had talked earlier, and there's not just necessarily in the gay male world, but there's millions of content creators out there, aren't there?
We just talked about it the other day, sent you an article. 300 million content creators, 220 million of them are posting
Yeah,
content.
yeah,
There are 200 million subscribers to OnlyFans.
yeah.
87 million of that 220 are active and have been active within the last 6 months.
Wow.
OnlyFans, I think it was stated in the article, they are the fifth largest uh, exchange of currency, whether it be they're in Bitcoin or whether they're paying in other banking institutions.
Wow. No, it's huge. I think we all kind of sense it, but we never really. It's most of us are kind of a bit removed from it all. So it's great to hear this.
It is starting to become more and more accepted. These folks are making, as you said, lots and lots of money, paying taxes.
Yeah.
Okay, why shouldn't they be more comfortable coming out and working with a tax planner or a financial planner that you would feel comfortable working with? How many bears are going to want to work with an accountant that is, out in the community that is not as accepting?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's another layer of comfort that the community wants and needs.
Yeah, I love hearing all this, and I look forward to, especially when I don't know if I'm going to gay days and one magical weekend events this year, but when I go to Florida all the time for work and so forth. So when I'm in Orlando, I would love to connect with you in the real world.
Absolutely, absolutely, would be my pleasure.
Well, thanks so much for being here with us and sharing a bit of your story with our audience.
My pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
And it feels good, so good.